What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're doing well today. Got a review for you. We're going to be looking at the Bestechman Goodboy. Let's get into it. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to do some size comparison. We'll do profile, check the weight, and then we'll jump into my thoughts and impressions on the Goodboy. We're just going to do a couple of comparisons today since this is a very budget-friendly knife. I thought we could do this with the Vostede Raccoon, which is going to be slightly smaller, and then one that I thought would be very comparable as well is going to be the Cut Serene, which is very comparable in size. So if you're familiar with either one of these budget knives, there you go. Let's move these to the side, and we'll then move the Raccoon to the side, and then we're going to do a profile comparison against the Serene because both of these are surprisingly thin knives to carry. As you can see, very comparable. Comparable. My goodness, spit it out. There you go. And against the Raccoon, it's going to be just a little bit thinner than the Raccoon. More bug out thinness there. And then we'll go ahead and check out the weight on this one. I haven't checked it yet, so I'm not exactly sure what it is. Coming in at 3.4 ounces, so very lightweight for the size, very thin profile as well. This knife is coming in at $54. For that, you get a D2 steel blade. Coated and uncoated are available. You get a G10 handle that is contour. It has very Spyderco-esque grippiness to it, the way they did the texturing. You got some serrated cuts here to add for additional grip. You have a lanyard hole. You have a reversible deep carry pocket clip that not only works very well going in and out of the pocket, but it's pretty comfortable in hand. Not too much of a hot spot there. Having said that, though, there is a slight sharpness to the edge here where they kind of cut in for the knife handle. You feel that a little bit when you're doing some heavier cutting. Now this one here is coming via the Lefty Pass Around group. Thank you, Kevin, for sending this around for us to check out. But I did buy my own. This was part of a bundle. There was another knife in that bundle that I did want to check out. So this did come in and I wanted to compare just to see whether fit and finish very similar to my own. But I did test my own. I think I actually put it away. I'm not going to pull that out to kind of show you. The coating's held up pretty well. Can you see the marks on the coating where I went through like a really thick cardboard that a TV was in? You can see a little bit, but it cleaned up fairly well. And I will say the coating on here is done very nicely. This does have steel liners in it to help with the rigidity. The button is pretty smooth. It does stick out just ever so slightly, but not by much. Let me do it from this side. You might be able to see it a little bit better that way. And it works really well. Very nice button action on here. No side-to-side play. I think it needs to be broken in a little bit more. It does have just a hint of lock rock. I reached out to Kevin just to let him know if he noticed that when he was doing his review. He did not. He asked me if I'd be willing to kind of take it apart and take a look at seeing if stretching the spring out will fix it, cleaning it and lubing it to see if it makes a difference. I did test mine. It didn't start with any, and then it kind of developed a little bit, but then because I was carrying it and using it and, you know, opening and closing it a bunch. Once the coating went away from the blade here on the inside, the lock rock went back away. So I'm thinking that it just needs to work off the coating because it didn't come with it kind of pre-knocked off. I'm wondering if that is part of why, because I noticed mine went away. Now, it's a little click, but you can't really see the blade move. You can just kind of feel that it has a little bit of wiggle in there, and I think that would go away. But I am going to go ahead and take it apart, clean it, lube it, and just see if it goes away before I pass it on to the next one, since I did talk to Kevin. You have good jimping here on the back, so if you have smaller hands and you're not quite using the full grip here, you do have the jimping on the back of the actual handle that you can use to kind of get a good grip if you're trying to do some detailed cutting. And it does extend a little bit here, but it's not like It's okay jimping. It's not super great. It does catch the back of the thumb and it does help keep me from moving. But I would have liked to have seen it just a little bit more aggressive. Now, I will say with this Bestech, you do get a little bit more fit and finish on this than I think you do at this normal $50 price point, even though it is D2. And you can get some knives with 14C28N close to that price point, especially if you're looking at like a Megaron. But the fit and finish on here feels a little bit more refined. While it is good on the Migaron, like the Moyarl is a very well done knife, very tight tolerances, it cuts well, it came with a great factory edge, good jimping on the G10. It's a little bit more boxy, where this feels a little bit more slender, a little more chamfered down. You got the crayon spine, you got the micro jimping here. The thumb studs on it are very well done. So I feel like this is a slightly more upscale $50 knife than some of your other ones that are out here. Action on it, again, very good. Button lock mechanism works very well. As I mentioned, you do have that little bit of lock rock on there. It's a very thin slicing knife. It came with a fantastic edge. When I finished with that box that I mentioned where I was kind of breaking down, it was like a 70-inch TV. Finally caught one on sale at the end of the season to upgrade of like a 9 or 10-year-old TV. It still went through the paper fairly well. There was like a little tiny spot there in the middle that the paper kind of like hiccuped on, but it didn't catch to where it couldn't finish the slice through the paper. And that was pretty impressive because it was some thick, nasty cardboard. So it seems like they did a very good job on the D2. Now, this one's not my knife, so I didn't test it on anything but some paper. And I do have some paper over here that I can show to you for the factory edge. I probably should pull mine out to just kind of show you because I haven't had a chance to strop it or anything. I actually just yesterday was doing that. So you see, very good factory edge. Give me 1 second. So here is my personal one. And as I was mentioning, you can kind of see where I've been using it. You see out there on the tip where it's been used to cut up cardboard and stuff. Like I immediately put it to the test. And for for the edge, oh, it's a little worse than I thought. I thought I tested yeah, there you go. So it's tearing a little bit. Actually, it's tearing quite a lot, but it's not awful considering what I was putting it through. So let me just do this real quick. I'm going to jump ahead. I have my strop right here. Let's just strop it. We'll take it across the honing rod really quick just to see if it has any. All right, there we go. So 15 on either end. Let's just really quick to see if that did anything to help salvage the edge. Yeah, so there you go. No tearing, very slicey. There we go. And that's my personal one that, I'm in the midst of testing. And no lock rock. Yeah, lock rock is completely gone. And hopefully you can kind of see right here on the lock system where it's kind of broken in. But on the one that's coming via the lefty pass around on the top, you can see a little bit of the steel coming through, and this one here hasn't quite broken in. So because I didn't have lock rock, it did develop and then immediately went away as it broke in. And you can see like this one being mine that I've carried, used, and handled. This one coming via lefty pass around. You see how it has a little bit of hesitation to drop, and this one drops immediately. Yeah, I mean, I just think it's going to break in nicely. It's going to be a really great EDC. And again, the factory edge that it came with is razor sharp. Like there is a noticeable difference from the one that I just dropped up, like 15 quick little strops, and the factory edge that came on this one. It's really well done. It's a really great knife. 54 bucks. I really like this one a lot. It's a great performer, great slicer. It has a good fidget factor to it if you like that out of your knife. I think that when we go to take this one apart here in a moment, it's going to clean up, come together real nice, and we might even be able to get rid of the lock rock. So I do like this knife a lot. If you don't like G10, I did bring out the Serene out here to make it as an alternative recommendation. This one, ooh, it's got a little side to side there. So I do need to tighten it up a little bit. Actually, I don't think I can. Oh yeah, it let me. I think I over tightened it. Hold on. Ooh, my finger. Nope. Ooh. Yep, no lock rock. No side to side play, no lock rock. I guess the pivot had been backing out. I didn't realize it carrying it. D2 steel, they come in a couple of different colors, coated, uncoated. It comes in aluminum. If you don't like G10, I will say the aluminum does feel a bit more premium, so much so that I even threw a little titanium $10 Civivi pocket clip on there, and I just think it really rounds out the look of it. Great blade shape, very nice and slicey from the factory. You get thumb studs and you get a flipper tab, and this one's coming in at under $50. But I will say, Syncut does a really good job with their fit and finish. You know, the build quality on here, it's really good. It feels really nice. I'll just say that the touches on the Bestechman just make it feel a little bit more upscale, but it's not like it's a huge difference. So some of the things I'm going to point out is you got your pivots here that is locked in with the G10 versus you free spinning. So you have a captive there. I like the fact that the pivot bolt is large and it's inset into the body of the knife. Your thumb studs, I'd probably say they are both really well done. I wouldn't give one or the other an advantage. You have a flat spine here with really good jimping back here. You have a crown spine with micro jimping here that's a little bit harder to detect. You're getting nested, inset, reversible deep carry pocket clip instead of flat. But again, if you throw the titanium pocket clip on there, the flat actually looks a little bit better. So, you know, I think there's discretionary things here that kind of make a little bit of a difference to me. I like both a lot. I would recommend. I mean, if you like button locks, I think both of these are really good. I would say this one's probably going to be a little bit smaller of an EDC. I don't have as much space on here, so if you have smaller hands, the Serene might be a little bit better. I have a little bit left over here on the Goodboy, but I mean, really both feel really good. Nice, thin EDC knives, a little bit smaller on the Serene, so that's a good alternative recommendation. But this is really easy to recommend for the money. Bestech did a fantastic job, and they got coated, uncoated. They got a couple of color options on here. It's really well done. Let's go ahead and jump into the disassembly and go ahead and get it cleaned up. And if you're not going to hang out with me for that piece of it and you're not interested in that, thanks for tuning in today. I love you guys, and you are all awesome for supporting me and commenting and liking and all the good stuff. So we got the oil, we got the T8. It looks like it's T8 hardware all throughout, but it is not. It is T6 hardware outside of the pivot. So I'm going to grab a T6 and a second driver to save a little bit of time. But I do recommend WeHa Bits. I have that stuff linked down there. When you all use that, it really does help the channel. For this disassembly, I do like to disassemble from this side, so I like to take the scale off. So that means you will need to remove the pocket clip if you want to do it that way. The reason I like to do that is because it just makes it a little bit easier to control the spring during the disassembly so it doesn't shoot off somewhere and I lose it like I did when I was disassembling my Wii Vision R. That sucker, I don't even know where it is still. I had the replacements come in and was able to reassemble it, but I have no clue where that spring is in this bedroom. It shot off somewhere and I have no clue where. So we're almost there. They were very snugly fastened. They have a little bit of thread locker, it looks like, on there. Oh, these are different. Are these different? Or is it just the thread locker? I think it's just the thread locker. I'm using the magnet. I like this tool roll. I'll leave that linked where you can go over to Blade HQ and pick that up, but I really like this tool roll. Keeps everything organized and it gives you a little bit of workspace with some magnets for your steel hardware, etc. So it makes it really easy to keep track of everything when you're doing these types of disassemblies. So just keeping everything kind of pinched together, I'm going to just let it drop down and let it raise up on its own. All right, so we have it disassembled. You can see they did take the G10 liner and line it with a steel piece. So that's what your button lock is going in and out of. We're going to go ahead and pull the spring out. I'm going to go ahead and take the steel liners apart. I'm just going to do the whole thing since I'm doing this. I will take the the stop pin. Let me go ahead and clean it because I'm getting dirty doing the disassembly. I'm just going to remove it from this side and put it on the other side. And I will check for anyone that's interested to see what the bearing sizes are on this one. So let me get that stop pin back in the other side. Very tight tolerances. Everything is very snug together, and I like that a lot. I'm going to grab my skiff tool, and we'll just check real quick the size of the bearings. And if you're interested in this, I saw them being carried over at Blade HQ, so I'll link them there as well, along with their finger bit driver, which is nice. That one makes it easy to kind of hold the other side when you do have those captive pivots, but don't happen as often anymore. So this is 3/64, so it's not 1/16. So I'm betting it's 5 millimeter 3/64, and I'm just going to really quickly, yeah, definitely 5 millimeter 3/64. So it is the skinny bearing sizes if you're interested in that. So let's just go ahead. I'm going to clean everything off. It looks like there's definitely caked on oil, and that could be what's causing to make it feel like it's slipping. That oil on the lock not really being able to see and having just a little bit of that lube could cause that sensation of where everything's kind of moving around. So let me just I'm just going to take, oh, that stop pin, there we go, is not in there all the way. I'm just going to take the washers off and dry everything out and put that back flush there so we don't have any issues with the reassembly. It looks like they put a little bit of lube on the liner itself so it doesn't really get stuck to the G10. That's fine, no issues there. I will clean and put my own lube in all the pivot section. And then with the spring, you don't need to do too much. Don't go crazy here. The lube being dried out might fix it itself, but you just want to take it and kind of stretch it out a little. If I can get some fingernails in between. There we go. Oop, I didn't get a good grip. So just taking it and kind of pulling it a little. Again, nothing crazy. Just kind of helps with the tension. And again, it could be the coating on the coated blade. That could be all that's wrong with it. And that will break in if that's the case, because it totally did on my knife. I don't think I cleaned this side here. All right, now for the reassembly, you're just going to take everything. I would recommend just a little drop there on the pivot itself. It is D-shaped, so that should keep it from moving around. I disassembled this one here, it looked like the closed side was down in the nested piece, so the the open side. The open side was down in the nested piece. I think they do that because the tolerances on these knives, they're usually pretty well done, and you don't have to worry about as dirt getting in there as much. So what we'll do here, actually, let me do it this way. I always found that it's just a little bit easier to take the button lock and move it with the blade back onto the knife. And then you can do the same thing here with this washer. This bearing washer is just lube it up, make sure that you don't feel, yeah, nice smooth bearings, really nicely done. And then it's just going to be a matter of putting everything back together. So I would put your inset liner back on top, make sure that your stop pin and everything drop on, so that everything's fitting nice and tight. They got a lot of play here on that liner. That's a little surprising, but I guess it kind of makes sense because this part here is actually going to go inside of that. So put your spring back in. And then what you'll do here is that actually fits very snug. And then you just kind of work it in there. I already felt it fall in. And then what you can do from this point on is just get your G10 scale to fall into place. It's going to feel like it snaps into place a little bit. Take your pivot screw and just in the reverse order reassemble everything. Should be a nice simple disassembly reassembly. That feels good. I'm trying to make sure that I have good tension on there. I'm going to grab the forward body screw and I'm going to grab my T6 that I have here on the other driver. We're going to reinstall that, and then we're just going to check everything real quick before we reassemble everything else. So nice and snug. Did I give it too much play? No, but I do have it too tight, so we can back that out just a little bit more. Okay, just a little bit. I am going to push the lock because I do feel like, there we go. I feel like the M or the B, I'm not sure which one it is. Yeah, nice action. Came back nice and centered, no side to side, and still has that little hint of lock rock on there. So I really think it's going to break in as you continue to use and handle it. I'm going to give it a couple of flicks here. But I noticed the action from disassembling and cleaning, it's a little loose, is improved. So we'll just give it a little tiny tweak. It wants to move. Did I do too tight? Yeah, I went too tight. It's moving on me, so I'm having a hard time with it. Okay, there we go. That was a big move, actually. But it's locked up solid. There we go. No, still. Well. Yeah, I think we got it. It still has that lock rock, though. I think it's the coating. Truth be told, I think it's just the coating needing to be broken in or worn off. I think once the coating is gone and it's steel on steel without that coating in between, I think that is going to get rid of that lock rock, because that is pretty much what I experienced on my own personal one. But at least we know that we tried. We stretched the spring out a little bit. We cleaned it up, made sure that there's no lube on the actual lock itself, and everything's nice and clean. So I can be confident reaching back out to Kevin, letting him know, like, hey, it's just a little bit of hit. I had a little hint of lock rock, and then just kind of share with him that carrying mine over the last few days and just fidgeting with it got rid of that lock rock. So it could be that it just goes away as it gets passed around. Anyway, there you go. You hung out. You got to see me clean it and disassemble it and see how easy it is to maintain the Goodboy. And you got to see that it is a 5mm 3/64 size bearing. If you want to get a set of skiffs for this one, yeah, that's very nice there. Let me see if I can get the pivot back in line. Yeah, no, it doesn't really want to move now. Yeah, it doesn't really want to move, so I'm not going to force it. I'm just going to leave it as is because it's just slightly canted. It's not awful. But what do you think about the Goodboy? Did you pick one up? Also, do you have a coated blade or uncoated blade? And do you notice if there's any of that clicking? It's not a lot of movement, and I'm really having to wrench on it to replicate that action. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about this one. I think it's a good looking knife. I am very happy with mine, and it is definitely one of my favorite beater / daily carry knives in the collection right now. Just really impressive. I'm glad Bestech didn't rush out a version of a button lock, that they decided to wait and do a variant that was like this. It's pretty good, guys. Pretty good. It's a Goodboy. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Shout out to everyone out there that leaves the likes, the comments, that is subscribed. I appreciate the love. I hope you have a fantastic week. And until next time, peace.